are watching CoastLife, and one of our most important guests that we've spoken with in the past is our friends from Procino-Wells and Woodland, because everything that they do really has family at the heart of it. So joining me on the couch today is Michelle Procino-Wells. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
For anybody who really doesn't know, I think when people hear, law firm, they think serious, kind of heavy stuff. But you guys, right. I mean, it was so fun when I actually went to your office just to meet everybody. You see all the care and love and fun that you guys have.
We do have fun.
So first, I guess, refresh people's memory of what sort of law you handle.
So our practice is really focused on elder law, estate planning, which includes wills, trusts, powers of attorney. It includes helping people shelter assets from the cost of long-term care. Mm-hmm. It includes helping people settle their loved ones' estates, whether that's through the probate process, estate administration, or trust administration.
And you guys are really sort of hyper-specialized in that. A lot of times maybe law firms that say that they cover a lot of ground end up kind of not specializing in anything, but that is everything you do.
It is, and that's something that has evolved over time. Mm-hmm. We started out doing more things, but as our practice grew and as we saw the needs in our community, we really have narrowed it down over the years to those very specific areas, and so that we could become really good at those specific areas.
Yeah, and something else that's evolved over time is your newsletter.
Yes.
One thing that I really love about you guys as well is that you guys really hold the hand of the general public, because we don't know a lot of legal terms or law terms, and it all gets so muddy. So you hold our hands with a lot of things like newsletters, podcasts. Tell us a little bit about how the newsletter got started and where it is today.
So it's something that we have always enjoyed, is educating our community. So my partner, Amber Woodland, and I, we both are from this area, grew up here, married local guys, are raising our families here. And so this is our community, our family, our friends, our loved ones. And so we realized years ago that there's just a lot of myths, a lot of bad information out there about planning. And so something we've always enjoyed is educating our community. And so we've found a lot of different ways to do that over time. So the newsletter, we started out probably doing a lot of speaking engagements years ago, going out into the community, doing workshops, going to churches and libraries and homeowners associations and businesses. I mean, anyone who would ask us to come speak, we would go. And then it was a dream of ours to do a newsletter. And now looking back, we started the newsletter in 2014.
Wow.
I think we're getting ready to put out our 36th issue.
Almost 10 years.
Yes, it'll be 10 years next year. So we need to do something fun to celebrate. But the newsletter, we call it Off the Clock.
Okay. And
we came up with that name all those years ago just because we wanted to show that it was something extra, that it was free, that it was information. And the newsletter, it's fun. And then we've used that term to cover workshops that we do, kind of where we go out in the community, and we really just do an off-the-clock kind of question and answer session. And then in 2020, we used that name to introduce our podcast.
Nice. So tell me about that podcast a little bit.
So the podcast, it's interesting. That was also on our to-do list for a while. And the pandemic.
Sure.
So when the pandemic started in early 2020, we found ourselves with a little extra time on our hands. And so we put our heads together and we thought, you know what, now is the perfect time to start that podcast. And now I think we're almost 50 episodes in.
Wow.
And so we call that Off the Clock too. It's Off the Clock, an estate planning podcast. And it's been really fun.
Yeah, so how can people get into either the newsletter, the podcast? I understand Bella is also a part of the newsletter. If you don't know, Bella is the four-legged mascot.
Yes. So Bella, so the newsletter is fun. Like, it always has an educational article, an educational component. It also has a little section we call Legal Mumbo Jumbo, which addresses, legal terminology, because something that we try to be very intentional about is to speak in ways that our clients will understand, or when we go out into the community to talk in ways that are, we try to dispel that myth of the stuffy attorney who's going to talk over your head. And then there's always a profile on one of our team members, which is fun. And then, yes, there's Bella's Brief, which is named after my dog, Bella. She was a puppy. When I got her as a puppy, she actually spent some time at the office, and so we adopted her as our mascot. And so Bella's Brief is written by one of the ladies on our team, and it's a hoot.
Fun.
It's fun. Bella, points out all the things that no one else will talk about.
Yeah.
and it's great.
That's from the dog's perspective.
Right,
yeah.
right. Yes, exactly.
Fun. So who would you say that the podcast, the newsletter, all of this information is really for? When should people maybe start looking at all the sort of educational information, whether they're thinking about elder planning or not?
Well, it's interesting. It's for everybody. We always talk about funeral planning and how that's something that we all will have to face someday, but so is estate planning. I actually just recently did some powers of attorney and healthcare directives for a couple of young folks going off to college.
Yeah.
As for their parents. So estate planning is really something that everyone should consider because we all need it.
Yeah. So how can people get a hold of the newsletter, the podcast?
Yes.
Where can they check it out?
So our website is always going to be the best place to go and look for those things. So that's pwwlaw.com. So all of the newsletters are on there. And then for the podcast, there's links on there, but the podcast is available on all of the main podcast resources. But definitely our website would be a great place to start.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for coming in and sharing about all of the resources that you have for people that either need this information or want this information, or you never know, maybe you're sort of inspiring the next up-and-comers into the field.
That would be wonderful. So thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. And don't go anywhere because we've got more information and fun coming your way when CoastLife gets back.
This segment of CoastLife was brought to you by Procino-Wells and Woodland Law.